This is the Newsload.
Hi, I'm Carrie Stevenson, and I am here with Newsload, and I am so very excited to be able to interview today the Honorable Ed Holder. Hello, Ed. How are you?
Carrie I'm well, and I trust you are as well.
I am. I'm very, very good. Canada Day tomorrow, so very excited about all the fireworks and all the goodness.
Great celebrations, that's for sure.
My
Don't
snack
forget,
is
Canada strong, elbows up, and loud and proud.
absolutely. My snack is strawberries and whipped cream, so I go, a little patriotic even in my
Little red and white going on, that's good for you.
So, you've been retired for a little while now, and you've been traveling. Where have you been going?
Well, I have a home in Portugal now. So the year after I stepped down in 2022, at the end of 2022, I spent about 9 months in Portugal. Pretty country. My wife's Portuguese, so that makes it easy for her, less so for me, because I'm not a citizen. But having said that, it's a great place to visit. And I think I spent about 6 months in 2024 and then settled down, and I'm doing some work and continuing on with some charity things.
Amazing, amazing. Yes, you have life after politics. You're have some community involvement, do you?
Yes, I do. We just finished a great project that I was honored to chair, which is the Battle of the Atlantic Memorial. That's for those within the listening reach that do not know that London has a naval base, and it trains cadets to determine their interest in our armed forces, the Navy in specific. It's at the Forks of the Thames, and I've been involved in that for a number of years, where there are headstones up for every ship that was lost during the Battle of the Atlantic, which is World War II. That's how they deemed the battle. Longest battle in World War II. And we lost over 20 ships and almost 2,000 sailors lost at sea, and almost 1,000 Air Force crew in support of the ships. And these souls who gave their lives for our country, which is very appropriate as we think of what we can appreciate on Canada Day, they have no grave to mark their final resting place. So as we went through a couple of phases with the headstones, and then what our final phase was, and that is to have the name of every sailor lost at sea and every Air Force crew person lost at sea. And their names are on plaques at the Battle of the Atlantic Memorial at Prevost, HMCS Prevost on Beecher Street. So I've been very proud to be part of that, and to see it completed is just great. So that's one project that we've seen through to its finish. And I'm also involved with Padre Frank Mance in a little project that's not so little. It's the Byron Springbank Veterans Monument. I chair that committee as well. And if you know Byron, we've got a cenotaph service on the Saturday before Remembrance Day every year. It's a plaque attached to the library in Byron, and right across from the Legion. And so we have all of our Legion members and various politicals and interested folks that participate. The challenge we've had with that, though, Carrie Ann, is that the crowds that we would have, and we would do a march around. Well, we march around that little triangle that's Bowler Road and Sanatorium and Commissioners Road. We block off the street. The merchants have been first class. They've never complained. But also when you march around the fire hall, if there's ever an emergency, you're blocking them. So Padre Frank had this notion of moving the memorial service to Byron to Springbank Park. And the great news is that City Hall, the council members voted unanimously to give us a little piece of land in a circle where a Korean artist, in honor of Korean veterans, who served to ensure that South Korea was free. Well, this artist donated her work, which now will belong to the city once it's finalized, but the design is complete. We're pretty excited about it. And it will be an opportunity in the park in a safe setting for people to appreciate our veterans, and at the same time use it as a real focal point for Springbank Park. So we're quite excited about that. So that's the second thing. And I'm involved in St. John Ambulance. I've been involved well over 20 years. I'm their patron. And they do great things. They have a therapy dog program where they will take these dogs to hospitals, long-term care facilities, student residences during exams, just to ease tensions for, because who doesn't like a puppy? And these dogs are incredibly specifically trained to deal with people. And we also do medical first response where they've saved lives. And we have a cadet corps. It's just a very exciting organization. So I'm active with that. And probably most recently, the St. Paul's Cathedral in downtown London, an Anglican cathedral, has reimagined itself. So they've taken out the pews. And what they want in that space, which is a beautiful space in the heart of London, and it's truly a jewel, is to make that, in addition to a place of worship, to make it as well a creative hub so that musicians, actors, people that want to learn some of the skills associated with audio video training and the like. Think of what the Boys and Girls Club does here in London, and they do something similar. Well, we're going to be expanding all of that. So I am the city champion. And when the dean of the church asked me if I would get involved, they said, but you're Anglican and I'm Catholic. What's that about? And he said, well, Catholic, that's close enough. So they had a launch with the bishop there just literally 2 weeks ago, well attended. And they've got a goal to raise. They've raised $1.1 million. They've got another 800,000 to get the first preliminary component really up to snuff. But it's amazing with the labyrinth in the center. It's stunning. So I'm doing that, plus the Garrison Community Council, still involved in Chamber of Commerce activities, Rotary Club, and I'm a member. So things of that sort that kind of keep you involved on the community piece. And how exciting to continue to play a part. So I'm not quite dusted off yet, but nor am I dead. So it's nice to be involved.
Yes, you're very busy. That's wonderful. That's so good. And it's so nice to be able to support the arts. It's so nice that you're supporting the veterans. You are, obviously finding what's important to you and making a difference. And we appreciate that.
Well, that's very kind. I will tell you that some of these projects preceded my retirement as mayor, and before that, of course, member of parliament. But it's important. My Cape Breton mother used to say that community service is the price you pay to live in a place, and I guess I took that pretty much to heart. So, but there's so many people in London that give, and I've always been told by my mom that you've got three gifts: time, talent, and treasure, and give to the extent that you're able in any of them and all of them. And so if you've got some ability to do certain things, that's what you try to do. So it's about giving back, I think, to make London and continue to make London the great place it is.
It is really wonderful. And there are a few issues that, are getting a little bit worse in the city. And I was wondering if you had any suggestions, anything that we could do to improve the safety of the city, helping with the homelessness, maybe.
Well, this issue certainly didn't just start. The issues around homelessness and challenges that individual citizens have with drugs and mental health. Ultimately, it becomes a mental health issue. When I was mayor, I recall that we would try to encourage people to get out of the cold on the very cold nights, for example, and many wouldn't go because they were concerned about their stuff and what was going to happen to that. And that's just individuals that sincerely need one-on-one assistance. So one of the things I know that this current council did was made a significant contribution to the police budget. And while some people complained about it, done well, then we're able to take drugs off the street. More drugs are coming off the street. In addition to that, more issues around firearms and knives and the like are coming off the street. And I think that all helps lend to the safety of London. It's not perfect yet. and there's no city in Canada that can claim that. However, these are big steps, and so I'm optimistic that that as we support the police in their role, it's a multi-dimensional role that they have. It's certainly not an occupation I could imagine doing, putting my life on the line like they do every day. And so I think the police contribution will go some way. Uh, the mayor and council have announced some pretty strong initiatives around low-income housing, because if you don't have a place, then how do you get them out of the tent encampments, for example? But a lot of these people aren't capable, frankly, of living on their own. And what we don't have in London, excuse me, and what we still need is a dedicated facility for some who, frankly, need to be taken care of. So there's a great organization that has come to London, and they started this about 5, 6, 7 years ago in London, and we're not the first city. It's called Indwell. And what they do is they build very low income housing, and they also ensure that people take their medications. So they've got a room, but these people go there in their mornings and afternoons and ensure that they take their meds, because that's when individuals with mental health issues and drug dependencies get very challenged. So Indwell is also working with the Food Bank and Homes Unlimited and others in the Soho district of London. And they're doing some pretty amazing things. They're going to be building, the mayor would tell you better, but I would say something like 3,000 residences in the Soho district. And the notion is it'll be its own community too, and it will not be a ghetto. Because there will be a mix of housing in there, and it's beautiful. So it's the old Victoria Hospital grounds, and what they're doing there, what they're doing is exceptional, particularly when we required them to ensure that there were a couple of the buildings that were maintained, because some aren't. I mean, you will recall, and you know where the Canada Life center is, our arena downtown where the Knights play. That was the very first city hall for London, Ontario. And I recall at the time when the city was approached about this particular property, that one of the things that that the city insisted is that they preserve the yellow brick. But I got to tell you, as I've been told by the contractors there, that when they pulled the brick out, it was crumbling in their hands, because it would be, by this time now, close to a couple hundred years old, and it doesn't survive forever. So they did make a promise, though, that they would restore the yellow brick look where City Hall was, and you see that today. And it's a stunning example of trying to honor our past and progress, because downtown, it is certainly one of the main anchors. But look at the anchors we have downtown, Carrie Ann. We have certainly our arena, the Canada Life Place. We have at the other end the convention center at Wellington and York. We have our library, which thanks to Daryl Skidmore and his team when he was the director responsible for the library, a brand new state-of-the-art library system. We have our Covent Garden Market. There's apartment buildings that are coming up. It's not Pollyanna, but I think one of the things you need to do downtown is to ensure that you've got a large population base that, and they will have expectations about their own safety and security. And it's an issue that I think is improving gradually. It will never be fast enough. But last statistic, there were probably in London some 330 hardcore homeless individuals. And you see them begging on corners and the like. And this may not sound comfortable for people who are inclined to give a loony and a toonie and the like, but don't, because all you're doing is aiding and abetting a habit. And it really prevents those who are trying to work with these individuals. It really hampers their ability to help get these people off drugs and alcohol and the like. And if you ever spoke to the folks that are the Thames Valley Addiction Center, they will tell you that alcohol is more significant than drugs by a large margin in terms of addictions in London, Ontario. I don't think we're unique in that statistic, but I always thought it would be drugs. But it's and maybe when someone is high, their activities and their behavior becomes more animated than any of us are comfortable with. But having said it, don't do the loonies and toonies. It's not we're not helping the people we really want to help. If we've got some money that we can give, give it to the Canadian Mental Health Association here in London. Give it to the food bank. Give it to the organizations like my sister's place, who desperately need the funds to be able to support these individuals who are high acuity and other needs. But ultimately, I think we need a facility, and that will need provincial help at least, at a minimum, where we can put people to give them the care that they sincerely need.
That's wonderful, and that's great advice to be able to, make sure that don't put the money directly in their hands, because they're going to go and buy a beer. They're going to, like, go and enable their habits. Give it to the resources, and they will make sure that there's food available and proper attention to their needs.
Well, I think so, and sometimes that's not popular because you feel badly. Who wouldn't for these individuals? But on the other hand, it's about helping them, not aiding and abetting, as I've said before. Mm-hmm. So with that, on the community side, London has some issues, but it's got some great growth plans too. And you're seeing that. We are the 10th largest city in Canada, and we're growing. And they're expecting London's population to grow incredibly over the next couple of decades. Mm-hmm. So hold on, and if we don't deal with these issues now, by virtue of being a major city, those problems can tend to get worse.
Absolutely.
And there are some communities that are large and not so large that are much worse than London. But we're working to deal with those issues, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Other beautiful downtown attractions are Yuck Yucks at the downtown Hilton Hotel.
Absolutely.
I always highly recommend. And also I enjoy—
They've got great entertainment there, I hear.
Yes, they do. And Imagine Cinemas in the City Plaza yep. Mall downtown. I went and watched Mission Impossible this summer there, and they have Lazy Boys, and it's a wonderful $5 Tuesday nights. I highly recommend those attractions as well. Do you have a favorite career success accomplishment that you're most proud of?
Let me think. Not yet is probably my answer, because listen, I've had the privilege to serve in some leadership roles in this community, and what an honor it's been. So when I was president of Stevenson and Hunt Insurance Brokers, and we grew into 3 other cities, and then they sold to an international North American brokerage after I left. And I left because I went into federal politics as a member of parliament. And to serve in that capacity, who gets to do that, Carrie Ann? I mean, and then when I was tapped on the shoulder by Prime Minister Harper to serve as Minister of Science and Technology, that was pretty compelling. But the good people of London West felt I deserved a rest, I guess, because in 2015 I lost the election. And I'll be honest, I thought my politics was all done. And then by circumstance, and probably because I didn't feel I was quite done, I ran for mayor in 2018, and I was honored to serve for a term. And that was, as you recall, when we were dealing with COVID in a large way, when we were dealing with the Afzal tragedy, the Muslim family that was murdered. Just very sad circumstances. But, even in that deep sadness, I couldn't have been more proud of London. Maybe this is my proudest past moment, because we had the politicals come a few days later to the mosque and said all the appropriate words. And it was very great that they thought this was important enough that at the federal and provincial levels, they all came to London, Ontario. And I was the last to speak as mayor. And I said to the people, and we had thousands of people there, and I said, look to your left and look to your right. We're not all Muslims here. We're not all whites. We are not any one ethnicity. We're Londoners, and we can be proud that we've come together. But then a few days later, the Reverend Kevin George from St. Aidan's. He's now the guy at St. Paul's that tricked me into getting involved with their Reimagine campaign. He coordinated a march from Hyde Park and South Carriage Road, where that beautiful family was cut down. And we all walked from that site to the London Muslim Mosque on Oxford Street. Now, I can tell you there were bets at City Hall that I wouldn't finish the walk, but I had to because I had an obligation. I don't know how many kilometers it was, but more importantly, we had 15,000 Londoners join in that march, and people on the sidelines cheering us on and giving us water and doing all of that. And it was a great show of unity. So we talk about our London family, which is the theme related to the Afzaal family. But our London family, in my view, is all Londoners. And that is coming together as they did. And whether it was COVID and people went through some tough times, small businesses failed. And I feel horrible that the tragic impact on business and real people, because business is people, that's all they are. And yet Londoners came together like they did with the Afzaal family. And when you get that kind of support from a community, this is the greatest city in the greatest country in the world. So, you know, that means that we're the greatest city in the world. And I couldn't be more proud to have done that. So far, I would say those are my major things. But beyond that, I'm doing some consulting work now, and it's for a couple of companies, and it's a real privilege to do that and to play a part. So that's pretty exciting to continue to use some of my background and perhaps some skills to be able to assist as needed.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, we can't thank you enough for all of your community involvement, that you're still going strong, that you're still involved and still supporting. And if you can say one last thing for me, if you can say it loud, say it proud, I love Newsload.
Absolutely. Well, firstly, I love London, I love Canada, and I absolutely love Newsload.
This is the Newsload.